and we're asking our parents to blame for their out-of-control teenagers. A 16-year-old boy's been given an 8-month detention order this week for throwing a sofa weighing 15 kilos from a shopping centre balcony, only narrowly avoiding hitting the people on the ground below. He says he's done it lots. In fact, he likes throwing things off bridges in general. Meanwhile, business owners in Southampton say antisocial behaviour, which you can now see going on there on screen, from teens in their area is getting worse by the day. They've had windows smashed and items stolen, fires have been started, employees have been threatened and attacked. But do you think it's the parents who should be held accountable for their teenagers' actions? Is it fair, do you think, to blame the parents? 0207 862 2222, that's the number. Do give us a ring. Sarah, we'll start with you. I mean, your children slightly older, up at the beginning of the 20s.
22, yes. I mean, I think parents are responsible, partially, but not wholly. I mean, we live in a society where there just aren't enough police. There isn't enough authority generally. If you look at schools, it's very difficult for teachers to discipline children in schools now. You know, we're endlessly talking about, should we ban smacking, our parents being too hard on kids? I mean, the problem with children is that, I mean, particularly that sort of age group, is that they haven't got a frontal lobe, so they're not fully developed, so they don't understand. They are actually just, as humans, incapable of understanding that actions have consequences. Just biologically, they haven't really grown up yet. So they have a tendency. What they do is they push back, and they are anti-authoritarian naturally. So you do have to control them quite tightly. I mean, I remember when mine were teenagers, I really did have to come down quite hard on a number of occasions. And as a parent, you have to do that because you realise that actually they don't have the normal checks and balances that a fully grown adult has.
But isn't it, though, Lowri, a parent's job to instil that? They are teenagers, they're still children, they're not adults. And Sarah's probably absolutely right. You know, they're pushing back against authority. They don't realise about the consequence. But you sure as hell realise when there's that look on your mum or dad's face, or there are penalties to pay, and you're grounded or you're punished in some way. You know that there are.
I think most kids are not pushing sofas off balconies, so most kids do have some sense that that's not acceptable behaviour. There are some that don't. I'd say a couple of things. One is that years ago, I lived on a street where there was, the crime was unbelievable. And I woke up one morning about 4 a.m. and I could see its light. When I looked outside, the moped in next door's front garden was on fire. And when I went down and the fire engine came, I said, well, who would do this? And they said, oh, just be kids then. I went, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Why aren't they in bed? And they looked at me like I was mad. And they said, some kids, that's not their life. So unfortunately, I don't think most kids behave like that. I think there are some kids who are just basically not parented, where maybe the parent has alcohol or drug issues. Maybe I remember also a friend of mine who I watched her with her small boy. Her boy is probably about 7. And he threw a tantrum and he hit her. And she just went, whatever his name was, Tarquin. So there, Tarquin, don't do that. And I thought, I've been a single parent myself, and I'm only 5 foot tall. With my boys, they were never, ever allowed to swear at me or ever to touch me, because if I don't put that in at 5, 6, 7, by the time they're teenagers, I will have no authority. So I don't think that my kids will be throwing sofas off. I think it starts really young, though. You can't
Sam
turn it around at 15.
So these teenagers in Southampton have terrorised an entire street. One of the girls, a girl of about 14, 15, said, I'm not sorry, I don't apologise, and there's nothing you can do, because if you call the police won't come, and I'll tell them you assaulted me. I mean, they're pretty savvy. I don't know about the frontal lobe, but it seems like they know what they're doing, doesn't it?
I watched the video, and it is upsetting to see people, crying because they don't want to come to work or something like that. And I think if kids could see the effect that was happening, they might not go as hard. Look, every generation of children says, oh, you don't know what it's like to be a child now, and it was different when you were young, blah, blah, blah. Look, it is different now. It is different for them. They have a whole load of social media and different things that are expected from them that we never had. So,